will start with the session. So we will start the new chapter, that is chapter 3, quantum physics. So in this unit, you will be studying basically the evolution of the quantum mechanics. You will start with basically with the fundamental of black body radiation, and you will see the set of experiments or the theoretical models which have been put forward. You will see a journey from the beginning, that is from the black body radiation, and we'll move on to different experiments like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, Heisenberg principle, Young's double slit using particle, and many more. So you will going to see. Then we will the next unit will be starting with the Schrodinger equation, and we also talk about the particle tunneling, which is a concept which is used in the transistors and so on. So we will begin with the chapter. So you can see that in the image there is a filament which is used in the bulb, and it is glowing in one particular color. So you may be wondering why it is orange color. So generally, if you go by the classical picture, it will not be able to explain the experimental wavelength distribution of the electromagnetic radiation. Of course, this is the filament; it is an out object. A proposed theory in around 1900, which is able to explain the emission of radiation from such objects, led to the beginning of quantum physics. So in this chapter, so you will be the main objectives of this unit is you will be learning certain experimental results that we can able to explain or understand only by the particle theory of electromagnetic waves. You are seeing the wave nature, right? Wave nature of light. So you also will be studying the particle theory of the electromagnetic wave. And our second object would be to learn the particle properties of waves and the wave properties of particles. So you are going to see the both. That is, you will be looking at the what are the particle properties of a wave as well as the wave properties of a particle. So both you are going to learn at the end of this chapter. You will be able to realize how we can interpret both. At the end, you will be looking at the uncertainty principle put forward by Heisenberg. So these are the objectives of this unit, and followed by this unit, you will be studying the next unit, quantum mechanics, where you will be starting with the wave functions, particle in a box of finite, infinite height, and so on. Okay. So as I was mentioning earlier, the evolution of quantum mechanics or quantum physics of the quantum world began all with the explaining the black body spectrum. So a radiation emitted by a radiation of object. So before going to the black body radiation, we ought to see what is a black body. So black body is nothing but is a system which absorbs all the radiation whichever falls on it, and it is also a perfect emitter. Okay, when we say an ideal system, in the sense an ideal is a case which is one which absorbs all the radiation onto it and emits all the radiation out. That is, it's a perfect absorber as well as an emitter. So emitting all the radiation, which is a function of temperature. Please note, the emitted radiation is a function of temperature. So a black body is a system which absorbs all the radiation which falls on it and also is able to emit all the radiation out. It's a perfect absorber as well as an emitter. So emitting all the radiation is a function of temperature. This is a very important thing you need to know. So we can imagine an ideal black body to be. What you can do is you can take a cavity and cut a small hole into it, so allow the radiation to enter into it. So once it enters into the cavity, it gets multiple reflections within the cavity, and it gets completely absorbed within the cavity. So this is a realistic example. And what does it mean? So none of the radiation which is entered will not escape. It is completely absorbed by the walls of this cavity. You can see the walls upon multiple reflections, the entire radiation which falls enters this cavity is completely absorbed. So this is a perfect black body, and a realistic example for a black body. So once all the radiation is absorbed, it attains some temperature, and then at that particular temperature, it emits a radiation. So what happens, as I was mentioning, once this radiation enters into the cavity, this cavity gets absorbed, absorbs the radiation, so which leads to the heating of the walls. So when the cavity will get heated up due to the radiation which is falling on it. So we all know that if you take any walls, and the cavity walls all obviously consist of atoms, right? So these are nothing but the oscillators. So the oscillators in the cavity wall will start to vibrate and re-radiate at wavelengths corresponding to the temperature of the cavity. That's what I was mentioning. So you need to see what is the temperature. What is the temperature of the cavity? So that decides the wavelength. Okay, so depending on the temperature of the cavity, so the oscillators in the wall will emit the radiation again, and the wavelength emitted depends upon the temperature of the cavity. They produce a standing wave. Okay, so they produce the standing wave. They produce the standing wave within the cavity. Just a minute. Yeah. Some of the energy from these standing waves can leave through the opening. So what happens once you have a standing wave within the cavity? These standing waves will have the energy. Some of the energy will escape from the standing waves, and they can leave through the opening. So such radiation which escapes from the cavity, we call it as a black body radiation. So a radiation emitted by a black body, as we described in the case where it consists of a cavity consisting of a small hole, where when a radiation enters into the cavity, it does not escape. All the radiations are observed, and once it attains, which causes the heating of the cavity walls. Once the cavity walls get heated, the oscillators in the cavity vibrate and re-radiate the wavelength according to the temperature of the cavity. So which produces a standing wave in the cavity. So once these standing waves from the energy from these standing waves are start to leave, and what you are able to see the radiation is the black body radiation. Okay, so we all know that a black body is an ideal absorber of the incident radiation, and a black body is said to be thermal equilibrium. So what do you mean by thermal equilibrium? It is a case where incident radiation power is balanced by the radiation emitted or re-radiated. Okay, so input power is balanced by the output power. So when that time we can say a black body has reached a thermal equilibrium. It is a condition where the incident radiation power is equal to the emitted radiation power, in simple terms. So the emitted thermal radiation from the black body characterizes the temperature of the black body. So what does it say is, so by looking at the radiation which is emitted, you can able to tell what is the temperature of the black body. Suppose if it is blue, peaking at blue, or peaking at say green or yellow. So by looking at the wavelength or the radiation emitted by the black body, we will be able to tell what is the equilibrium temperature of the black body. The emitted radiation from a black body does not depend on the material on which the walls are made up of. Please note, so the emitted radiation will not depend what the wall is made up of, rather than the emitted radiation depends upon the equilibrium temperature of the black body. So temperature decides the type of the radiation emitted, what speaking in what particular wavelength, not what material in which the walls are made up of. So that is one important thing which you need to know. Okay, so you can see the figure where you notice that there is an emission of a solid glowing at different temperatures. You can see one is at 200 Kelvin, 2000 Kelvin, 3000 Kelvin, and 4000 Kelvin. So what is your observation by looking at this particular plot? Can anyone throw some comments? So this is a plot of intensity versus the wavelength, and this is solid which is emitting some kind of radiation. Let us say let the solid be a black body, and let us and with the radiation emitted be the black body radiation. And you see here the radiation shown at three different temperatures. You can say, let us say 2000 Kelvin, 3000, and 4000. What is your observation from this graph? Can anyone?
Wavelength of radiation keeps reducing as the temperature increases.
Yes, if you wavelength of the radiation decreases, the temperature. So it's not the other way. So what basically, if you see the dotted lines, you see that as the temperature is increasing, the one thing you have to see here is the intensity of the radiation is increasing. You can see the intensity when compared to 2000. What is the intensity here? And compared to 3000, see it increases. 4000 further increases. Not only the intensity is increasing, it is also the peak wavelength, that is the lambda max, is getting shifted. If you see here, it is maybe for 2000 Kelvin, roughly I'm telling you, it's around 1.5 Kelvin. At 3000 Kelvin, it drops below 1 Kelvin. Something around 4000 Kelvin, you see it may be around 0.8 or so. So the peak wavelength shift towards the shorter wavelength region when the temperature is increasing. Okay, as the temperature is increasing, the lambda max, the peak wavelength shifts, as well as the intensity of the black body radiation also increases. So, in order to explain this this spectrum, many people have come forward to explain that we are going to see, and we will see who was successful in explaining this particular spectrum. There were some of the cases which able to try to explain. Let's see one by one, little later stage. So this is the spectrum of a black body emitting at different temperatures where intensity versus wavelength is being plotted. Two things to remember: intensity increases with the temperature, and the wavelength, peak wavelength, shift towards the shorter wavelength region with increase in the temperature. So that is two things you need to remember. So in this case, we are not shown about the 6000 Kelvin. If you further increase the temperature, the peak is at center of the visible wavelength. If it is 400 to 700 nanometer, it is at the around 5 appears at the center of the wavelength. Then the object appears white. So basic laws of radiation, we will see one by one. So all objects emit radiation. Okay, whether with any object, let it be, whether it need not to be a black body, you take any object in the universe or in the world, emits some kind of radiation. The emitted radiation depends upon something called temperature. So that is, hotter objects emit more energy than colder objects, or we can say that the total power of the emitted radiation increases with temperature. So this law is known as the Stephen-Boltzmann law. So we will see what is Stephen-Boltzmann law little later. And the second one is the peak of the wavelength, as I was mentioning in the previous diagram, black body radiation spectrum. You notice that the peak of the wavelength shifts to the shorter wavelength region as the temperature of the black body tends to increase. So this law is known as Wien's law of we can say that wavelength is inversely proportional to the temperature. So we will see the law a little later. So these are the fundamental things you need to know about the radiation. That is, all objects in the world will emit the energy or the radiation. The hotter objects emit more energy, colder objects emit less energy. So that is characterized by a law called Stephen-Boltzmann law. And the peak of the wavelength shift towards the short wavelength is as the temperature increases, is explained by what is known as the Wien's law of displacement or Wien's displacement law. Why the word displacement is, we all know that the peak wavelength is getting shifted or displaced. Okay, we'll look into the laws one by one. As I was mentioning, the total power emitted radiation is proportional to the temperature. Actually it is fourth power of the temperature. So that is, so if you see here, Stephen-Boltzmann law states that the total power of the emitted radiation is proportional to the fourth power of the temperature. That is, P is equal to rho A E T to the power of 4. What is A here? A is the surface area, okay, of the object, and T is the equilibrium surface temperature, and P is nothing but the power radiated from the surface of the object, which is in watt, and rho is nothing but the Stephen-Boltzmann constant, and you have emissivity, which is for a particular surface. We'll take the if you assume it as a black body, then the emissivity is 1, right? Why we call emissivity is 1 is because the amount of radiation falls on it is 100% is re-emitted back. So that is a perfect black body. In general, we don't have a idealistic black body in the world, so we can approximate black body, we can say. But if you assume that it is a perfect black body, then the emissivity is 1. So this law, where P is equal to rho A E to the power of 4, is known as the Stephen-Boltzmann law. So the power is given by rho A into T to the power of 4. That is, the total power emitted radiation is proportional to the fourth power of the temperature. Now, so the moment you know the power, you of course we all know that the relationship between the intensity and power, intensity is equal to power by unit area. So we can write that P by I is equal to rho into T to the power of 4. The moment you know that power and area is known to you, so that is nothing but P by A is intensity. So I is rho into T to the power of 4. This is known as Stephen-Boltzmann law, which tells you about the amount of power emitted with respect to the temperature. You can just see power depends upon the fourth power of temperature. The second one, which I was mentioning, was Wien's law of displacement. So it says that wavelength distribution shift towards the shorter wavelength region as the temperature increases. You can see in the lower temperature is at the higher wavelength region. As and when you try to increase the temperature, you notice that the wavelength shift is towards a shorter wavelength region. So the shift is, I'm talking about the shift will be towards the shorter wavelength region as we increase the temperature. So we can say lambda max into T is a constant, or the lambda max. This is the lambda max. So lambda max is inversely proportional to the temperature. So the constant is 2.89 10 raised to minus 3 meters Kelvin. So lambda max is the wavelength corresponding to peak intensity. That is this intensity. T is the equilibrium temperature of the black body. So the moment you know the wavelength, you can tell what is the temperature. Suppose if you know the temperature of the black body, you will be able to tell what is the wavelength, peak wavelength it will be emitting. So this is what the relation it gives between the peak wavelength emitted by a black body and the temperature of the black body. So as the temperature increases, the lambda max decreases. The third one is known as the Rayleigh-Jeans law. So this law basically tried to explain the distribution of energy of a black body, which you have seen in the just now, or even in the first diagram when I explained the black body using a classical theory. He tried to explain the distribution of the intensity or the energy using this equation I of lambda T. So I is a spectral intensity as a function of lambda and temperature. That is, the intensity of a particular wavelength at a given temperature is given by 2 pi c kBT by lambda to the power of 4. So Rayleigh-Jeans law, which is tried to explain based on the concept of the classical theory. So please note, I'm again repeating, I of lambda t is called spectral intensity. That is intensity of a particular wavelength or frequency at a given temperature. Intensity is I lambda. I lambda is the intensity. Okay. Lambda t is the spectral intensity. What is spectral intensity? Is an intensity of a particular frequency or the wavelength. Okay. So that is the spectral intensity. Intensity is I into delta lambda. The spectral intensity into delta lambda. That is the intensity of in the wavelength interval of delta lambda from a black body. So if you're able to understand this better, we are going to do one numerator. At that time, I'll explain it to you. Okay. You know that KB is the Boltzmann constant. This is what I was trying to explain it to you. You can see the spectrum of a black body, which is the experimental data, and the one which is fitted using the equation proposed by Rayleigh-Jeans using the classical concept shown in the blue line. So what is your observation by looking at this graph? Can anyone share few points? What you feel by looking at this?
So Rayleigh-Jeans law undermines the energy released as
And
compared
undermines
to
energy release. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can are you mean to say, Vinay, that it is total failure? Or
no,
it is
sir.
not
Maybe
successful?
it predicts in a nice way. It's relating to the graph, but it's slightly off.
Okay.
Sir,
Sir,
Uh,
sir, it's not like working for the shorter wavelengths, sir.
okay. Okay. The
sir,
law
for
is
some
valid
reason,
valid
for,
for larger wavelengths. Yes.
for
Yes.
some reason there is a huge like jump in the intensity during the first phase of that, and later there is like a huge fall in the curve.
Yes.
So
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
maximum intensity
So
is almost same in both the
yes.
cases.
What is happening actually is, if you see, it is able to explain successfully. Observe carefully. I'm drawing it in a circle. This is a region that is a longer wavelength region. This equation is able to explain it successfully. But as and when it moves towards the shorter wavelength region, you will see the discrepancy starts to build up. So it increases further and further, and of course you will see that it will if this is a experimental data point and this is a theoretical one, you will notice here that it goes towards infinity. That is, unlimited release of energy is shown over here. Okay, so it predicts unlimited amount of energy when the wavelengths are becoming shorter and shorter. The problem is, it is fine with the long wavelength region. The moment it starts coming, and the discrepancy starts to increase. What was expected was it to follow the spectrum like this and cover the peak as well as to cover the shorter wavelength region. But that because due to some thing which he has missed in his equation. Okay, so that is the failure of Rayleigh-Jeans law. Rayleigh-Jeans law was successful in able to explain using the longer wavelength region, whereas in the shorter wavelength region, it was not able to explain it successfully. So we can say Rayleigh-Jeans law does not agree with what you can say. It does not agree with the experimental results in the shorter wavelength region of the shorter wavelength region, predicting unlimited energy emission in the ultraviolet region, which was nicknamed as ultraviolet catastrophe. Why catastrophe? Because in the ultraviolet region or the UV region, the enormous amount of energy is released according to the equation which is put forward by Rayleigh-Jeans law using the classical concept. So that is a catastrophe. We call something wrong with it, right? So why is ultraviolet? Basically because of the shorter wavelength region. So Rayleigh-Jeans law does not agree in the experimental results in the shorter wavelength regime, so which predicting unlimited amount of intensity release or the energy release in the UV region. So hence it is nicknamed as ultraviolet catastrophe.
Sir,
Now,
but with the Rayleigh-Jeans curve, why is there no like no curve from start to that maximum point, and it only starts from top and then comes down?
which one? This one you're talking about?
Sir, the blue curve. Sir,
Blue curve, yes.
we are seeing the experimental data in the red curve, right? And it
Yes,
has
that's the
a
experimental date.
it
Yeah.
starts from zero. It starts from the 0 point and then goes up and comes down. Whereas Rayleigh directly starts from a random point and then comes down,
That's
like
what
the
I'm
max.
telling you. If you feed the values of wavelength with temperature using this equation, what actually happens is this goes to infinity. This is a theoretical equation. If you feed the values, this equation matches only in the region of. This is a theoretical equation. Okay, the data. This is experimental data point which is taken, observed, and recorded using a spectrometer. This is the equation. If you feed this equation at a particular temperature and the wavelength, this will be fitting in this region. But when it comes to this region, it does not match. It will go towards infinity.
Yes, sir. Got you.
Okay. So we will try to explain using someone came and explained this better, and we all know who is the person. Can anyone tell me? Fine. So before going to the person who is successfully able to explain this spectrum, we can say that the classical theory failed miserably to explain the spectrum emitted by the black body. Okay, so it was partially successful, we can say, in the longer wavelength region, not in the shorter wavelength region. Okay, so as I was mentioning, it is the Max Planck who developed the theory of black body radiation in order to explain the observation that led to the equation of I lambda T. That is spectral intensity of a particular wavelength at a given temperature. Let's see what mistake, I would not say mistake, what went wrong in the Rayleigh-Jeans law and how that was weighed, taken into consideration by Max Planck. Let's see it one by one. So the Max Planck made two assumptions regarding the oscillators in the cavity wall. So oscillators are nothing but the atoms, right? So he stated that the energy of an oscillator is quantized. That means it can have only certain discrete values. Which is stated as E is equal to NHF. That is, N is a positive integer, which we call it as a quantum number. F is the frequency of the oscillator, and H is the Planck constant. So he made two assumptions in regarding the oscillations of the atoms in the cavity or the oscillators in the cavity. That is, the energy of an oscillator is quantized. That is, the energy of an oscillator is quantized, and it has only have certain discrete values given by E is equal to NHF. It is not continuous, it is discrete. This is first assumption. The second one he made the assumption is each discrete energy value corresponds to different quantum states represented by the quantum number N. So, in continuation with that, so each energy will have a different quantum state corresponding to quantum number N. So, which we can see from the below diagram. You can see here, you have the different energy states, or yes, you can see the quantum number N 1, 2, 3, 4, and corresponding energies has been shown here. So each discrete energy value corresponds to a quantum state represented by a quantum number. So the second assumption which he made was, okay, so the energy states are quantized. That's the first thing. The oscillators will absorb or emit energy only when making the transition between one state to another state. Okay, that is, it can absorb the energy or release the energy whenever there is a transition between either 0 to 1 or 1 to 0, like that. So difference of energy will be in integral multiples of HF. That is, it can be 3HF, 4HF, 2HF, or HF. So we can say, so if it is in one quantum state, if let us say oscillator is in the second quantum state, then no energy is emitted or absorbed. So when it is observed, what will happen? It makes a transition to the next quantum state. So when it is released, then it is making a transition towards the lower state. So the transition will happen in integral multiples of HF. So the oscillator will emit or absorb the energy, making a transition from one quantum state to second quantum state. And in the first assumption which he made was the energy states are quantized; they have discrete energy values. Now we will see how he was successful in explaining the problem. So using this approach, he derived an expression. I modified. If you see here carefully, this term comes into picture, right? An exponential term comes into picture. In addition to some modification, he made it in the equation of radiation emitted by a black body. This is a theoretical equation which he put forward from him. So what he mentioned was where the Rayleigh went wrong was he assumed that all the energy states will contribute equally to the emit radiation. He said that whenever the number of energy states, if you observe, as they move at higher and higher and higher energy states, it is the probability decreases. That's what he mentioned. So the probability of excitation decreases as the energy level moves farther apart at the shorter wavelength region. So at the shorter wavelength region, what basically happens is the probability of excitation drops. That is, the chance that the higher energy levels is being excited is less. So you need to take the probability of transition into account from these excited states. Don't take that if you have 100 excited states are there in the system, all 100 states contribute equally to the radiation. So that should we can say that he calculated weighted average method. Weighted average method where he stated that it can overcome the ultraviolet catastrophe by taking into probability into picture. Not all the states can be excited, only a few states can be excited at the shorter wavelength region. So based on the probability of excitation, this can be explained the overcoming of ultraviolet catastrophe problem. Okay. So please note, if you I of lambda is the spectral intensity, I of lambda delta T is the intensity. So the Planck's law gives the distribution of the certain wavelength and peak shift to a shorter wavelength at higher temperature and the area under the curve which grows rapidly with increasing temperature. Let's see this as two cases. So this law was in agreement with the experimental data. Okay, so let's see how this equation was able to help. Let us take this equation, I of lambda t, which is 2 pi h c square lambda to the power of 5. If you see here, if you take x is equal to hc by lambda k by t, that when the wavelength is large, we all know that x is small, then we can rewrite the expression as E of x is equal to 1 plus x. So this equation we can rewrite in terms of this. Can you tell me what is this equation? Can anyone tell me what is this equation looks like? Hello? Can anyone tell me what is this equation look like? Yes? What is this equation look like? Rayleigh-Jeans law. So Planck's law reduces to Rayleigh-Jeans law in case of the longer wavelength region. The problem was in the shorter wavelength region. So let's see the case of shorter wavelength. So we can say that Planck's law reduces to Rayleigh-Jeans law in the longer wavelength region, and it fits perfectly with the experimental data. So this was even the Rayleigh's equation also taking care. But now we will see what actually happens in the shorter wavelength region. So in the shorter wavelength region, again what we will do is we'll take this lambda x as hc by lambda k by t, and when lambda is small, x will be large, right? So in that case, what you see here is this particular equation. So can anyone tell me how this term takes into consideration when lambda is small? How the shorter wavelength region is taken care? Can anyone tell me? Yes? Hello? Hello? Yes? Can anyone tell me? How the
Sir,
inclusion of this particular? Yes.
Sir, when lambda is very small, e to
Yes.
the power hc by lambda kbt will tend to infinity. So
Yes.
even when we subtract 1 from it, it won't make a difference.
So what actually happens is, if you see, when lambda is small, if there are two terms here, right? That is, the first term is 2 pi hc square by lambda to the power of 5, and the second term. If you see, when lambda is small, you expect that this term tends to, what actually happens? Tends to increase, right? That's what you are thinking. But when lambda is small, the output of this term, you expect the intensity to increase. But if you see the second term, that is e to the power of hc by lambda kbt, it's an exponential term, right? Exponentially decreasing function. So when the wavelength is small, of course, this term leads to the increment in the wavelength, whereas this term will contribute to the decrement in the intensity. So what actually happens is, the rate at which the intensity drop led by this term is large compared to the rate. Suppose it is, let us say, 1000. The increase in the intensity by this term is, let us say, 10. Just for an example, whereas from 1000 it decreases to 500 to 100 and so on. So the problem of ultraviolet catastrophe was explained using this equation successfully. So Planck was able to explain both successfully. That is the shorter wavelength region as well as the longer wavelength region, taking into consideration that that all the energy states at higher levels will not be occupied, or equal probability cannot be given to the states. So we have to take the weighted average method. So we have to bring in the concept of probability, that what the chance of the higher and higher excited states getting occupied becomes less. Chance becomes less. In this way, he was able to solve the problem of ultraviolet catastrophe. So now we will, from this, you derive the value of Planck's constant, which everyone is familiar with it, which is known as the Planck's constant, which is 6.625 10 raised to minus 34. So now we have come to the problems. So now I will give you 15 minutes time. Now it is 8:46. You can solve this problem till 9. Then we will discuss the problem one by one. Okay? Is it fine? So there are 3 problems. To start with it, solve one by one. Whichever you are able to solve, it is fine. Then we will discuss one by one. Is it fine? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's start. Let's start. I give 15 minutes time to you.
Sir? Hello, sir?
Anyone are able to solve the problem? Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone else? What is the answer? If anyone has done, if you find the problem 4 difficult, you can do problem 5 and 7.
Sir, answer for problem 4, sir.
Yes. How much it is?
Sir, 1.3 into 10 power 15.
15. Okay. We'll see. Okay. Continue with this next one. That is of calculating the surface temperature of this
Sir,
thing
I'm
and the
getting the
lambda
same
max of
answer. Sir, I'm getting the
Okay,
same
okay.
answer.
Let us check. Okay. Let us check one by one. Please continue and solve the next two problems.
Sir, is the answer for the fifth question A part 5.75
Sir,
into 10 power 3 Kelvin?
Okay, let's check. You complete it. We'll complete all the problems. We'll check. You know the right. The thing is the temperature and lambda max should at appropriate, right? So you can approximately calculate using the sun. If it is having that much amount of power emitted, you should be able to. What should be the temperature? Roughly, you can guess, right?
Sir, is
Basically,
the
I shown an image. It should be in the spectrum, right? In the visible spectrum. The temperature roughly will, you should know the range where it should come. Fine. You compute it, we'll see one by one. You check with the other one also. The problem number 7 also. I'll explain after doing all the 3 problems. Others also please proceed.
So problem 5, the temperature is 5779.86 Kelvin.
Looks appropriate. Find the wavelength also.
Sure, sir. So it's 501.3 nanometer.
It looks fine. Continue with the next problem. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Hope you have solved the problem. Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's start with one by one. Starting with the first problem, that is a black body at 7500 Kelvin consists of an opening of diameter 0.05 millimeter, which is facing towards an oval. Now, you need to estimate the number of photons per second in the escaping from the hole in the wavelength range 500 to 501 nanometer. So, what did you do in this problem? Can anyone tell me which equation you have utilized? Yes. Can anyone tell me which equation you utilized to solve this problem? Hello? Yes? Anyone? Those who have solved? Which equation? Which equation you have utilized to solve this problem? One by one, please let me know. Hello? Am I audible to you? If you don't know the answer, just let me know that I am audible to you. That's fine.
Yes, sir,
Hello?
audible.
Okay. Yes, we will see. I'll explain it to you. See, the wavelength range is given is 500 to 501 nanometer. So, the range of delta lambda is 1 nanometer. So, the average wavelength is lambda 2 plus lambda 1 by 2. So, the surface area is pi d square. So, pi r, so that is here is the diameter, so it is pi d by 2, surface is pi r square, so you have found the area of surface. So, the intensity of a radiation emitted in the wavelength range delta lambda is given by I delta lambda. See, whenever you have a spectrum like this, when you plot a wavelength that is I versus lambda, when we talk about I of lambda t, that is only intensity at one particular wavelength. When you're talking about that is called the spectral intensity, that is not true intensity, that is the intensity of a particular wavelength, intensity corresponding to particular wavelength and a given temperature. Now, we are talking about the intensity, we need an area, right? That will come into picture only if you take a range that is of delta lambda. So, I into delta lambda is the intensity. So, that is power by area. Now, which equation you utilize here for the power is equal to IA delta lambda? I think most of you might have used Stephen's law, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Most of you might have, yes, that is wrong because we know that that is a classical, in the sense you need to, this is a quantum thing. You want the moment, once you see that it has a photon, which is nothing but comes in the packet of energy, you need to apply the Max Planck's equation, which is the most appropriate one, which was able to explain the radiation emitted by a black body in the shorter wavelength region as well as the higher wavelength region, right? Using this equation. So you need to use the intensity given by Max Planck, not by the Stephen's law. Is it fine? So if you are done with Stephen's, that is wrong. I will not say wrong. At this moment, I will say this is wrong because you know that the most appropriate and the accurate value you can get, the appropriate one is to use the quantum equation, that is the Max Planck's explanation or is Max Planck's equation should be used. So I will substitute in this equation. So what you get is this. So you know P. So energy is equal to hc by lambda, or n is equal to, we know the number of photons emitted per second is, once you know the power, the number of photons emitted per second is P by E. So power divided by energy of the photon. So n will be, you need to determine the number of photons. So which is P by E. So P is given to you and E is hc by lambda. So reduce this equation further before going for substitution. What you get is 1.3 10 to the power of 15 per second. I think somebody has told the answer, so you are right. As long as you have utilized or the equation given by Max Planck. Okay. I think I allow you to copy it down. Just note the equation. You can substitute later. Anyone, if has any query, please ask me. Shall we go to the next slide? So that you make a note of this formula, okay? The remaining thing you can copy it, calculate later.
Yes, sir.
You are completed, so that we can go to the next one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll make the final formula and the answer, make a note of it. Substitution, you do it later. Then we will go to the next formula, the next problem. So this is the final formula. So please note, always reduce the formula to the applicable one. That is, you need to determine the number of photons emitting per second, reduce it to it, and then go for the substitution. That is always better. So the answer to this problem is 1.3 10 to the power of 15 photons are escaping from the cavity per second. Okay. So one thing you remember, the moment you see the photon, adopt the quantum model, not the classical model. So you see the word photon. Please note, whenever using the energy equation, you always used to use E is equal to NHF or intensity given by the Max Planck, or adapt the Max Planck theory to your numerical whenever you see the moment the photon is given in the numerical. Okay. The second numerical which is given to you was the radius of sun is 6.96 10 raised to 8 meter, and its total power output is 3.7 10 to the power of 26 watts. So assuming the surface emits as a black body, find its surface temperature and the wavelength. I'll include that. Okay. Okay. So you need to use this, calculate the surface temperature using the Stephen's law. And please note, the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r square. In the previous problem, you have taken it as the pi r square. So be careful, don't take pi r square. You take 4 pi r square. And the details of P value is known to us, right? So you can take P, and but area is 4 pi r square, and that the temperature will be around 5,750 Kelvin. I hope all of you got the same value.
Yes, sir.
So using the Wien's law of displacement, you can compute the value of the peak wavelength. It is around 500 nanometers. It is anticipated. So we all know that sun's temperature is around somewhere around close to 6,000 Kelvin. Before doing this numerical itself, you should be able to appreciate, or you should know a rough estimate of expected answer, maybe close to somewhere between 5,500 Kelvin, 5,500 Kelvin to 6,000 Kelvin. Suppose if you get 575 Kelvin, then it is not a sun. Okay, so keep that in mind. So you just see what value you just get. It should be really appreciable, or you should know if the sun will not be emitting at a temperature of 575 Kelvin. If there is any error, you should be able to find out at that point of view. So only thing is, most common mistake, most of you will make it. Some of you will take pi r square. So that is one thing you may go wrong. So just see to that you are taking it as 4 pi r square, and the rest is the data is given to you. We can solve it. It's a straightforward, simple problem, unlike the previous case. All of you got the same value? Anyone has a problem in this? Okay. Okay. I assume there are no problem in this problem. Then we'll move to the next problem, that is P7. So in this case, how much is the photons per second emitted by the transmitter?
2.27 into 10 to the power 30.
2.27. Tarun Raman is mentioning 2.27. So let's check. Each photon has an energy corresponding to E is equal to HF, which is frequency is given here. So the energy is 6.61 10 raised to minus 26 joules. So the moment you know the energy of a single photon and the power is already given to you, is the power is 150 kilowatt. If you know the energy of a single photon, when you divide the power by the energy of a photon, then you will be able to determine the number of photons which are emitted by the transmitter. So which is 2.27 10 raised to 30 photons per second. Is it fine? I hope all of you have solved all these problems which I had given it to you to solve. Does anyone has a query in this problem? These three problems, feel free to ask, or whatever the query you have, which we have done in today's session, please feel free to ask. So please solve problems 1, 2, and 3 and 6 given at the end of chapter 3 in the course material. Yes? Yes?
Sir, can you please explain
Yes?
problem 5 again, sir?
Which one?
Problem 5.
Problem 5. This one, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah, you have been, you know the Stephen's law, right? P is equal to A, E, right? S T to the power of 4. Correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, what is A here? The surface area. Emissivity is 1. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that yes. Oh, you are talking about that yes, no? That is not yes, that is rho. That is the symbol has changed here. That is the Stephen-Boltzmann constant. Yes. So T is equal to P power is already given it to you. That is 3.77 10 raised to 26 per watt. So 26 into the power 26 watt divided by 4 pi r square. So 4 pi r square, that is radius of the sun is given to you. So you can determine the area. And then it is Stephen-Boltzmann constant from the equation. That is 5.67 10 raised to the power of minus 8. And the emissivity for a perfect black body, we'll assume it as 1. That's why I'm not written here as 1. So you straight away you get T is equal to 5750 Kelvin. Once you know the temperature, you can determine the wavelength. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, sorry, that symbol is changed to yes. That is a problem. So sorry, here the symbol has changed. It should have been rho. And that's nothing but the Stephen-Boltzmann constant. So any other queries you have regarding these problems of theory?
Sir, can you please
Yes?
explain Planck's model once again?
Which one? Planck's model.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. So I hope you don't have any issue with these problems, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I will explain it to you, the Planck's model again. So those who are not able to realize the Planck's model, let me see. All of you go through it once again. Listen it to be carefully. Okay. Just a minute, I'll change the view, that will be quicker to load. I'll come with the Rayleigh's law. Okay. So we all know that the Rayleigh's problem was, Ashini, can you able to hear me? Hi, Ashini.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So the problem with the Rayleigh's law was, it was able to explain only the shorter wavelength region, but when the longer wavelength region, the moment when it is moving towards the shorter wavelength, the intensity was increasing exponentially, right? Exponentially, and it gives an unlimited amount of energy. This was a problem in case of Rayleigh's law. Now, in Planck, it did two assumptions. That is, one is energy is quantized. That means energy levels are quantized. That it can have, oscillators can't have any values, discrete energy values. It will have only a set of values. That is, if you take an atomic oscillator, suppose if it is in, let us say, quantum state 1, it has 1 HF. If it is in quantum state 2, it is 2 HF. If it is in the quantum state 3, it is 3 HF, and so on. That was the first assumption he made. The second assumption he made was, if it can't make a transition to, it can make a transition from one state, quantum state to another quantum state only when either it absorbs the energy or releases the energy. Okay. So what the Rayleigh did was, I will tell you, that if we take an atomic system, there are, let us say, just for an example, 1000 quantum states are there, or 1000 energy levels are there. Just an example I'm telling you. He assumed that all the energy states have equal probability of what you can say, undergoing an excitation, or the presence of atoms will be there. You all know that the number of atoms present will be more at the ground state rather than the excited state. You agree with me, Ashini? The number of atoms, as you go more higher and higher energy level, the chances of them being there, and if at all is there also, them being getting excited, probability decreases, unlike the atoms which are at the ground state or the lower energy level. What Rayleigh did was, suppose if there are 1000 energy levels leading to, let us say, participating in the process, he assumed all the energy, if there are 3 atoms are there, let all the atoms in each energy state will participate and undergo absorption and re-emission and releases the energy. But what Planck did was, he introduced the concept of probability of excitation. So what is the probability of excitation is, as and when you start to move from lower to higher energy state, the chances of them getting excited decreases. Of course, you all know that shorter wavelength region corresponds to which high energy or low energy, Ashwini? Shorter wavelength region corresponds to high energy or low, shorter wavelength region, that is the frequency. Ashwini?
Sir, higher energy. Higher energy.
Higher energy. So that was the problem of in the UV region. That is, shorter wavelength region means it corresponds to higher energy. So these higher energy levels participating in the process of excitation, I will not say it is not there. He gave a probability. The probability starts to decrease when we start moving towards the higher energy levels. The probability of excitation of these energy levels drops. You can't give equal probability for all the energy states. So he considered the weight average method. So all the energy states getting excited chances are less. So all the energy states will not be what you can say equally excited. That's what we brought into the picture. He brought into the concept of probability. So we'll go into the equation. So this is the equation which talks about exponential function, Boltzmann function, which he brought into added to the corrected to the equation, so that as and when you start to move towards the shorter wavelength region, you will notice that the probability of excitation drops. The chances these excited states, that is, these excited states correspond to shorter wavelength region, the chance that they get occupied or get what you can say absorption or re-emission taking place is less. So because the probability of transition these states is low, so you need to take in the entire thing into consideration. So what the crosses over and bring it to the shorter wavelength region. So which solves the problem of ultraviolet stroke. Okay. So Planck model, he introduced the average energy associated product and the energy transition and a factor related to the probability. So this is what he did not do, or the he did not in his assumptions. That is the only thing, he did not introduce the concept of probability. Now we will go into detail by equation. Yeah. So it will, because the moment it was able to explain this equation should be suitable for large as well as the short, right? So if you take this into consideration, at the large wavelength region, let us take it. You will see that when lambda is, let us say this x as hc by lambda kBt, when wavelength is large, when small, right? So when wavelength is large, that is in the longer wavelength region, the value of x will be 4 because it's inversely proportional. So then we can write this equation as e to the power of x is equal to 1 plus x. So that is what I have written, and what you get is S Rayleigh. So that is in the longer region, that is fine. So this equation is capable of explaining in the longer wavelength region as well, like case of Rayleigh law. The problem was in the shorter wavelength region. So in the short, again take the equation I of lambda t. Please note, again, this is a spectral intensity at a particular wavelength at a given temperature. Okay. So let us consider x as a lambda kBt. When in this case, when the wavelength is small, obviously you all know that x is large. So in that case, we can write e to the power of x minus 1 as e to the power of x itself. So what you get is the equation. It consists of two terms. That is 2 pi hc square by lambda phi, and another is e to the power of minus hc by lambda kBt. And you will see here, when the wavelength is small, there are two things. There are two terms. The rate at which the exponential term decreases is rapidly. We all know the moment you have an exponential term, the incidence on the exponential term rather than the other term, because the rate of change will be very large compared to the first term. Here the first term, it is the second term, so this changes at a faster rate compared to this. So that is a shorter wavelength region. This term decreases very quickly compared to the second term, that is over here. So that is why what is actually happening is the second term, the first term is increasing, the second term is decreasing, but the rate of decrement is more than that of the first term. So what will happen is at the shorter, you will fit perfectly. Yes? Is it fine?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So please go through it once again, so it will be able to understand. So only thing is the difference between the Rayleigh and the Planck is Rayleigh assumes all energy states given in an atomic system participate in the process, but Planck cleverly did that. It is the probability that it doesn't mean that atoms are in the state. They will get absorbed and undergo excitation and re-excitation. So the chances them being excited and re-excited, he gave a concept of probability which was missed by Rayleigh. Okay. Any other queries? Yes.
No, sir.
Any other queries? Okay. Please note, if you find the unit, it will be in what unit? Watt per meter cube you will get. Okay. That is spectral intensity. Please note, I of lambda t is the intensity. I is just a spectral intensity. Basically, that term is used to explain the spectrum of any radiation. Okay, I think it's the time. We call it a day. Does anyone has any query? You can stay back. Others can leave. Hope all of you are following.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So So if you have any queries, please let me know. We can add for an additional session and we can have the discussion later on also. Need not hesitate, okay? So if there are no more queries, other students can leave. Those
Thank you,
students have
sir.
anything want to discuss or clarify can stay back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye for now. So any particular queries, any students have to have a clarification, please go ahead.